In today's episode, we're going to take an old corroded Starion rim and polish it to make it look like brand new. Alright, so we're going to start off with the hardest rim to do. That is the painted rim. Here you can see I tried removing the paint with some acetone and scraping it off. It looks like there's silver paint underneath this, like they painted right over it. But I think what's going to happen is this part's going to be too hard to remove the paint. So what I'm going to do is just use aircraft stripper and then just hopefully find a color that matches this inner spoke color of the stock rims. So we'll do the aircraft stripper first and then we'll get to polishing. Alright, we got a nice thick layer of aircraft stripper on there now. It does say to kind of sand a little bit before, and I forgot to do that, so but I have used this stuff before without sanding and it works okay. But and also used in a well ventilated area, so I'm probably gonna let this sit for a while and then rinse it off and see what happens. Okay, so it's a great deal of time later. I don't know if you can tell, but from the time lapse, it took a bit of scrubbing and scraping to get this paint off of here. This rim used to be purple. It's purple no longer. I'd say about 99.9% of it's gone. It's looking like a regular Conquest rim now. So it probably came off so hard because either they used really good paint or because, like it says on the directions for the aircraft stripper, give it a good roughing beforehand. I'm assuming that's so it can get behind the paint and do its magic. I've used this brand of stripper before, and it worked really well, but I guess it was an aerosol form. I used it on my valve cover for the 4G63, and it bubbled that stuff right off, so I'm not quite sure what the magic is there, but so tools that I used when you get in a bind like that, I use this little plastic scraper putty knife. It's kind of like a body tool. I use that to just peel the paint off and scrape all that off. I used this brush too to get in the spokes and get all the crud out of there as well. I probably am gonna have to take this inner spoke and get it sandblasted. What I'll do is I'll probably lay some painter's tape down in here and then cover it with duct tape and then trim it all off and then just get all the gray sandblasted off, because right here you can kind of see a little dark spot. that'll probably show up in the paint if you just painted right over that. So we want to get it all nice and even before we paint. So another thing I started doing is inside the rim, I started cleaning that up as well. Again, with a little wire brush and some brake clean, get all that rust out of there as well. Because when you're spending this much time on these rims, you don't want people looking in here and still seeing a bunch of rusty garbage from all the brake dust. You know, these rims are really old, so it gets built up. So I guess the next step is to just start polishing this. I'll polish so far, and then like I said, I'll probably tape this off and then get this inner spoke part sandblasted out and then painted, and then I'll probably get it painted, and then I'll finish with the light grits, and then, or I guess the high grits, if you want to say that, and then I'll finish that up. So I guess the whole reason for doing all this stuff is this is a non-polished rim here. I've seen this with a lot of aluminum rims. My wife has a Focus too, and they're aluminum rims, and they get the same thing. They clear coated this aluminum from the factory, and I think what happens is it gets, there's moisture that gets in there and it starts corroding the aluminum from behind. So we got to get all that off, polish it, and make it look new again. Don't let people put these kind of wheel weight here. There was a wheel weight here, moisture gets behind there, and it does this. So that's got to all be stripped off and polished again. So and as you're polishing too, you'll notice little dings like this. I mean, don't get hung up on that. You could probably fix that, but you'd have to take it to somebody that's probably got skill. So what we'll do next is we'll start working through the grits here, and I'll probably do some time lapse of that, and we'll get her all polished up, and I'll probably do this rim as well. Okay, so we're at the final stages with this rim here. I went farther than what I originally intended on, but I wanted to show you the finished process. I still have to paint this inside of this spoke and these accent parts. I'll leave a paint code in the description of the video if I find that, but it may take a while. So what you'll do is you'll sand, and you'll get to that 1500 to 2000 grit range, and you'll notice some dull reflectivity in the metal. You'll start to notice seeing other things too, so that probably means you've lost your sanity, so just go take a break, and once you've regained sanity, just come back out here and hit it with a 3000 grit. I did go to 5000 with this rim, but I didn't really notice that big of a difference, so I don't know if it paid or not, but just do whatever you feel like works for you. So I'm pretty happy with the end result. It looks really nice. So yeah, once you get to that 3000 to 5000 grit range, after that, what you'll want to use is some mag polish. I use this stuff. It doesn't really have to be this brand, but just make sure it works for aluminum. You'll put some of that compound on a rag, and you'll just kind of wipe down the metal until you start noticing some black stuff like this. And then stop. You don't need to go crazy rubbing it or rub too hard. And then once you're done with that, just wipe the residue off with a clean rag. Make sure both rags are clean. You don't want to end up picking up contaminants and scratching the metal. So some tips for doing this. I use a wet sanding process. It helps ease the process, and it also saves you the sandpaper. Do make sure to clean out your water every once in a while. This one's kind of dirty, but it seems like when I switch from the coarse grits to the fine grits, I'd get a scratch out of nowhere. And it was like, well, where'd that come from? So I cleaned out the water, and that problem went away. So another thing too is, like, between grits, I always just kind of wiped things down, checked everything out, and looked at how the metal was and made sure there wasn't deep gouges that I'd have to work back out. So just take your time and watch what you're doing, and it should turn out really nice. I did clean up the inside of the rim. I didn't go as crazy as the outside, but I did clean it up. Little bit of a Conquest information, Starion information. These are SHP rims. And the way I know that is because this symbol here is in an indented box. The normal rims, it'll just be flat. So if you're looking at buying a set of rims, that's what you know you're getting. So this process can be done on any kind of aluminum rims. I did this also on this truck over here. You know, this lip is polished, so it does work on that as well. So I'll have to end up doing this rim as well. I'll have to go pretty rough on it with the coarse grits here to work this corrosion out of this, but I'm not too worried about that because my other rims were just as bad. I'll have to get this spoke color cleaned up too, but hopefully that comes out. But I guess if I can't get it or it looks bad, I got to already paint one rim, so what's one more? So the end goal is to run these rears on the front of the car, so I have 9s all around. I've seen it on other cars. It looks really awesome. It's mean and aggressive, and that's the look I'm going for. So hopefully we can get these cleaned up and put on there. So with that, guys, I'm going to end the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it and learned something about these rims. And you guys take care and have a great day.